This morning we are talking about addiction and recovery, and we're looking at an area that might be a little bit tricky to talk about on morning TV, but I promise we're going to keep this all appropriate. We are talking about pornography addiction. Sathiya Sam has been sharing his own story, his recovery story, as a way to help other men who might need it. He's written a book, there he is there, written a book about his experience, what worked, what didn't work, in helping him conquer a 15-year pornography addiction. Sathiya is joining us this morning. Good morning to you, nice to meet you.
Morning, Lindsey. Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations on the book. The book is called The Last Relapse. I want to get to your story in a minute, but first, I'd like to ask you, how do you know if you have a pornography addiction in the first place? I mean, what are some of the signs that it is becoming a problem?
Yeah, it's a very important question. And the reality is, Lindsey, the research is still catching up in this area. As you mentioned, it is kind of a taboo subject, and there's still things that are being discovered. What we know for sure is there's three things you can kind of be on the lookout for that probably indicate the presence of a porn addiction. It is negative consequences to self and others, excessive time spent, and a loss of control. So a little bit broad reaching there, but those are the indicators that there's probably something deeper going on underneath the surface and that someone probably needs a little bit more help.
So in the book, you share your own personal story. You struggled with this porn addiction on and off for 15 years. And you say things like internet filters and accountability partners didn't help you that much in the long term. So what did help? What was successful for you?
Yeah, so we're talking about a behavioral addiction. And I think a lot of the mainstream solutions are very logical. It's like, I have this behavioral problem, and so I will come up with a behavioral solution. The filter blocks the behavior. The problem is that's kind of like running over a weed with a lawnmower. It's really only a matter of time before it grows back, because underneath the surface, there's a root system that needs to be addressed. And so for me, in my personal recovery, when I start to get a little bit underneath the surface, cultivated some self-awareness, did a little bit of healing, working through past traumas, wounds of the past, reaching a place of forgiveness with some areas where I had a bit of resentment, and really starting to see myself through a lens of compassion. Those three things were vital for me in my recovery journey, and that's what really pushed the needle forward.
And you write about behavior patterns and how identifying them is really key. So what does that mean exactly? I mean, how does someone appropriately address behavior patterns in the context of a porn addiction recovery?
Yeah, a lot of the focus is on the moment. It's the moment of temptation, and people ask themselves, how do I make a better decision in the heat of the moment when an urge arises? But the reality is that moment is the byproduct of several decisions, actions, and moments that happened upstream. So identifying those behavioral patterns hopefully will give you a broader perspective on maybe what happened a little bit earlier on in the day, the week, whatever it is, and allow you to make better decisions then, so that you're not caught between a rock and a hard place. And I think that takes time to develop. That's why the first part of this recovery journey really is cultivating that self-awareness. But as you start to do it with time, it's kind of like a muscle you exercise. You start to understand yourself better, you know your patterns a little bit more, and you can just be a little bit more preventative in your approaches instead of waiting for those moments where, you know, the moment is high, the urges are high, and it might be a little bit harder to make a good decision.
You just mentioned exercise. I mean, you also focus on emotional fitness. What you have called the triple threat, so shame, guilt, and regret. So how do these three emotions play into addiction and keeping people stuck there?
Yeah, so I think the first two concepts we hear all the time, we can thank people like Brené Brown for popularizing shame. Shame's the fundamental belief that something is wrong with me. It's really self-focused, and there's no good place for it. Shame is always destructive. Guilt is when what I've done is wrong as opposed to who I am. Generally, guilt, if it lingers, is also really problematic. But there's an element of guilt that I suppose could be useful, and it could move you to a place of conviction and making a change, a positive change in your life. But the third thing that we talk about a lot in our program is regret. And regret is this nagging sense that if my life would have been different, if I would have made better decisions in the past. The way we define it is looking at your past without compassion. So combating these emotions is all about learning to love yourself. It's about really forgiving yourself of the decisions of the past. And the operative term is compassion. It's that we look at everything through a lens of compassion towards ourselves and certainly towards others. Again, easier said than done. It takes time. But when you do accomplish this, it's pretty amazing what starts to happen in someone's life.
And your life can open up, that's for sure. Listen, it is brave for you to come on and talk about a subject like this, especially on a morning show, so we do appreciate it. The book is called The Last Relapse. Sathiya Sam, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Lindsey. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.